In this episode, Golden picks the 2013 movie Maleficent for Oren. Full speed ahead. Welcome to the O'Mega Beam number 55. I'm your host, Oren Merton, and we're starting a fun little segment that doesn't really have an official title yet. I titled the podcast Golden Picks Maleficent, but really it's more like movies my spouse asked me to watch. There's always going to be movies that one person in a couple has seen and the other hasn't, but really wants to show the other person. And sharing that experience of watching that movie is a lot of fun. Not only that, but right now we kind of live in amazing times when it comes to entertainment. There's so many things that you can catch on streaming services, older movies, older TV shows, not to mention things that you can rent or buy on the digital retail stores. So there really isn't that much of a reason to just stick to current releases, right? We can talk about older things. You can still see them. So we thought that you guys might also enjoy hearing about us watching some of these older shows and videos and movies for the first time. So for the first one, Golden wanted me to watch one of her favorite movies, Maleficent, the live-action Disney fantasy movie that sort of takes the basic arc of the Snow White story, but with Maleficent, not Snow White, as the protagonist. So let's get into it. So Golden and I are going to start a new series, which we're sort of tentatively titling Genre Movies My Spouse Made Me Watch. So we're starting this with Maleficent, which I hadn't seen, but you had seen and loved, right?
I did not see Maleficent in the theater. Okay. And I think that I didn't go to see it in the theater because there was a lot of hype about, oh, it's not a very good movie, but Angelina Jolie does an excellent job. And there was just all of this hype that I needed to settle down. Uh-huh. And then I remember watching it for the first time. And right after, I pressed play and watched it again.
Okay.
Because it struck me as so different. And it was nice to see that, or be reminded of the fact that just because someone does something, you don't actually know their motivation.
Right.
And it was neat to see them take a different view. As a teacher, when I was teaching elementary school, there was a series of books that are like the Three Little Pigs rewritten. Uh-huh. One of them is called The True Story of the Big Bad Wolf. And it's about the Big Bad Wolf and how really he's been bullied by these pigs. And they keep saying that he's done all this stuff when really he's the victim. Uh-huh. So it was neat to see that retelling kind of come out where you actually see that Maleficent wasn't evil from birth. There was something that happened to her that she see. That's why I haven't seen the next movie yet, because I don't really see her as evil. Uh-huh. I see her as someone who was scorned and then made a whole bunch of bad decisions because of that and fought being bad. So she's throughout the movie, she's trying to be bad and realizes that it's just not, that's not the real nature underneath. That's not her true nature.
So what did you think I would think of the film?
I thought you would enjoy it. I thought you would enjoy the characters. I thought that you would very much enjoy Angelina Jolie's performance because she really does take the Maleficent role with it and literally rolls with it. And she does a fabulous job at bringing this character who, for so many decades, people have looked at as this is someone that is evil. This is someone that is bad. And you get to be sympathetic with her.
So I saw it. I remember all that hype that it wasn't a very good movie, Angelina Jolie accepted. So I wasn't opposed to the movie, but I never had an interest in it. But you talked it up, and I thought, okay, it's fine. Let's watch it. And I have to say, I absolutely agree that Angelina Jolie completely and totally fleshes out this part. She looks 100% the part. She acts the part. Her every expression is so emotive and picture perfect with a character who feels so self-righteously wronged. And it does give a
and
depth.
she is wronged. And I mean, it is.
I mean,
it
the
is
movie's been out for 5 years, so we can give spoilers.
It is drastic that someone that she chose
she's
to care
betrayed
for,
by one of the very few people she loves.
She's the only person that she knows.
Yeah.
It's the only person outside of those that she grew up with, and she chose to give her trust and her heart, and he turns around, drugs her, cuts her wings off.
Right.
Now, he doesn't kill her, but in some ways it's even worse because she's having to live with this pain every single day. And what did he get out of it? He wants a crown.
Right. Yeah, I think that
which kind of drives him crazy.
Right, which he ends up going insane anyway. I think that as far as the characters go, I adored their version of Maleficent herself, especially with Angelina Jolie's portrayal of it. I thought the character of the Raven,
Diavel,
was excellent as well and well played. I thought Sleeping Beauty, Aurora, Elle Fanning, I thought she also did a really good job. I think the story itself, it was fairly disjointed. I think it was trying to kind of serve two masters. It was trying to follow the general outline of Sleeping Beauty while at the same time being something different. And I think it may have suffered because of that. I think Elle Fanning did a fantastic job because just her sort of wide-eyed innocence and then her feeling of hurt when she finds out the real story of her parentage. But then so much of it didn't make sense when she just sort of marches into, the parents who she had been told were dead and everything. She's like, Dad, hey, let's have her, and
well, she doesn't know that he's not going to react that way. She's just excited, and she assumes that he's going to be like, oh, my daughter's back, yay!
Yeah, but she would have known that he lied. He was the one who told her nannies. When what?
When did she find that out?
Movie-wise, like 90 seconds before.
I mean, they just said that, they were keeping her safe.
No, she says at one point, you lied to me. You told me my parents were dead.
Yeah. But no, when did she find out that it's her father that did this to her? So she doesn't really recognize that.
But you would think that if her father was alive and loved her, that she would have expected her father to go look for her and everything else. I mean, for all that, Batwoman may not be the greatest series in the world, although I'm very much enjoying it. The fact that the daughter is so upset that her dad stopped looking for her when she was missing that resonates. That pain, that hurt, that you stopped looking. Whereas here,
I think that she just expected.
You didn't look for me? That's cool.
No, I think she just expected that he would return the hug and that he would be happy to see her. She doesn't know that he is carrying this heavy weight of basically insanity and obsession.
Of crazy.
Yeah, right now. It's just not how she expected him to react, and she's confused. And I think that confusion is what helps her to see the reality of who it is that truly cares for her.
Well, as with other things we've talked about, I think your movie is better than the one written. I think they just made the father a cardboard cutout villain, which is a little too bad because, like I said, Angelina Jolie's Maleficent and Elle Fanning's creation, her embodiment of this character, I felt were really deep. And so it's too bad that sometimes the plot was relatively sort of surfacey just to move from A to B because that's where they needed it to go. But I did enjoy the movie, and I thought it was beautiful. I mean, the effects were wonderful. I thought, they did a fantastic job with Angelina Jolie flying.
But you also said that you didn't quite like how CGI the fairies were.
Yeah, there's 3 fairies who end up being the nannies.
Fiddle, Knotgrass, and Thistlewood.
Yeah, and they're older women. And so when they're in human form, they look like the actresses. And I thought it was a little bit too bad that when they get small for their fairy shape, they decided they also had to make them look really young.
Oh,
so
I like them that way.
The faces kind of were in that uncanny valley of like flattened out look.
That bothers you more than it bothers me.
Yeah. But
also, this was how many years ago?
It was 2014, I think. It was 5 years ago. You had Marvel
Only
movies.
5 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
You had Marvel movies where they were de-aging people and looking quite good 5 years ago.
I had no problem with the fairies. They looked a little CGI and cartoonish, but I thought that was fine because they're fairies. But the entire land that she comes from
is gorgeous.
And all of the creatures.
Right.
It just is really just beautiful.
Right. Speaking of CGI, I also think another thing is, Angelina Jolie flying looked absolutely fantastic. And one of the reasons is because Angelina Jolie is clearly a woman in wonderful shape. And they could stick her on the gimbal and have her do all kinds of maneuvers. And she could do that herself. She could, her core strength was enough that she could physically do everything that was called on her to be done. Those older women who played the fairies, I'm betting that they weren't in that kind of shape because clearly when they were in the air, it was all CG. And you can tell the difference when it's the real actress or actor doing the flying or when it is just, a drawing.
All of the little chit chat and back and forth between Angelina Jolie's Maleficent and Sam Riley's Diavel
was wonderful.
Just beautiful.
Yeah.
Because at first, he doesn't want this, but then he grows to see who she is and his little kneading on her on when she actually starts to become infatuated with the baby. And if she wasn't looking after the baby, Aurora would have been dead a long time ago. Because those ladies couldn't do anything.
And he is truly a good advisor in that he doesn't simply say what she wants to hear. He says what his view of the truth of reality is. And he stands up to her, even though so many people in Fairyland are afraid. He stands up to her, and she needs that, and I think she understands that because she keeps him around even when she's kind of pissed off at him. So yeah, I'd have to say, I did enjoy the film. It wasn't a perfect movie, but that's okay. I enjoyed it.
And we watched a little bit of the extras, and we're entertained by the fact that the 5-year-old Aurora, they had to actually use one of Angelina Jolie's kids.
Right.
Because all the other kids were too scared of her.
And the baby, that there was a baby, that she's supposed to come to through look at it through a window. And she could only do like 2 seconds with the baby because the baby would be terrified of her. And there was a fun little extra where, she's walking up in character and the baby just totally freaks out. And Angelina just walks off set saying, I can't do this anymore because she's just making this poor baby so sad.
And she didn't want to.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, she is the part. I mean, you have to give her all the credit in the world. This was never the kind of part that was going to be nominated for an Academy Award like a couple of her others, but certainly she puts the same amount of talent and artistry into this as she would any other role. And it carries the movie. She carries the movie. And
she should, because the movie is about her.
Right. It is named after her character. So that is a good thing to have the actor or actress whose name, got the title character to be that good. Well, thank you for making me watch this. I am glad that I did.
And the next movie that I'm going to make him watch is the live action Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Because I know that he likes music.
I do.
I know he likes good CGI.
I do.
And strong female female characters that actually make decisions based on what they're thinking and not just because other people push them into it.
Which is always a good thing. And I figure there's a pretty decent chance we're going to catch, the second one, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, in the theaters before
Maybe
it's
just
gone.
to watch them fly.
Yeah, the movie has not been getting the greatest reviews, but, I've enjoyed movies that have not gotten the greatest reviews
I think
before,
it got better. It's probably gotten better reviews than the second Alice in Wonderland movie, though, which I still have not seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them, so we're all good there. Well, thank you, Golden.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed our new segment. And if you have an idea for a title, please feel free to share it on Facebook or Twitter or leave a comment somewhere. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/55. If you like this episode, please leave a review in the Apple Podcasts app or wherever you listen to podcasts, because reviews help other people who might be interested in this stuff find our podcast. If you have any other comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.